Brian. And I'm Nathan. This is the At Odd Show. Please listen.
Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you, and disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle. And when your journey is over and you're safe at home, they promise you'll be stronger, smarter, and just plain better. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I want to welcome you to At Odds. I'm here, and yes, Brian is also here, but he fell asleep.
Hello. This is Brian.
This is not Brian.
That's Nate. Welcome to the At Odds show. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2013. Where we're broadcasting from the back room of the Chap and Spurs Bar and Studio.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, in a large city. In what country or state, Nate?
Mexico.
Mexico
today.
Is that the home of the rodeo?
Yeah, I mean, one would say it was the origin of the actual rodeo when people...
Are you sure?
People actually,
You mean it's not
did things
a United States of America?
For a livelihood?
It's not a United States of America tradition?
I think we, along with our Spanish partners to the south, turned it into a sport. But originally it was actually something.
I would say it's a spectacle anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily
No,
a sport.
I'll tell you who the athletes are, and that's the clowns.
Oh God!
And maybe not the clowns.
Well,
much
I
as
don't know.
the
You have to get on.
bullfighters.
You
It
have to get on
depends.
the bull. That's pretty ballsy. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, well, it's just too bad when those guys get hit or something. Because I mean, when you go into a ring and you have a gigantic, massive animal and you do something to hurt it or piss it off and scare it.
Yeah. By shocking its gonads.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't expect to get hurt by the massive animal or anything like that.
What?
But there's clowns there, so it's good. And that's all that matters. As long as there's clowns.
Well, we'll get to the rodeo in a minute because you're going to tell us your experience from last night at the rodeo.
I did go to the rodeo last night.
County fair.
Yeah.
Let's see. We had such a great outpouring of people that liked us on our last contest for our book, right?
Yeah, I think it went pretty well.
What, you don't want to talk about that? We got a gift card now. We had an anonymous donor who's a strong advocate of the Second Amendment, civil rights, politics, and he gave us some gift cards to promote our show. And I think over the next 2 weeks...
2 weeks, huh? Let's see. What's the date in 2 weeks? It'll be the 29th. So between now and August 29th.
I won't be here August 29th.
So between now and August 29th.
It's 28th, I think. Because I think the 29th is a Friday because I'm announcing a football game. I'm not sure.
So between now and August 29th, which is Thursday.
Really?
Like the Facebook page. Everybody that likes the page will be entered into the contest.
No, I think that's wrong.
That's not wrong.
We're not going to do that because what's the incentive for people to like that?
Because if they don't like the page, then they aren't in the contest at all.
Fine.
So by liking the page, you infinitely increase your chances to win.
Okay. Yeah, I would think so. Because you can't win if you don't enter.
That's
all right. Like our Facebook page. What is our Facebook page?
Facebook.com/atoddshow.
Okay, we're going to give you a $10 gift certificate for Home of the Whopper Burger King.
Ooh,
you cannot
have it your
beat it.
way.
A Whopper is like one of the best burgers from a fast food place anywhere.
That's false.
It's
absolutely false.
All right, give me a better one.
Anything at Wendy's.
Wendy's are pretty good, but it's not the Whopper.
No, it's not the Whopper. It's a burger from Wendy's, and it's amazing. And that's where the beef is at. Everybody knows that. and it's old-fashioned, never frozen, and it's square.
Listen, Burger King has a soft spot in my heart because that was the place I took my future wife when we were dating, and she would have a Whopper.
Romantic.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't afford much. I was just a young, stupid, punky kid.
Like you, Burger King rated the slowest fast food restaurant in the United States.
I don't care. I love the Whopper. But actually, what I would get would be a Whaler at the time, which was the great big fish sandwich, which I loved with extra tartar sauce.
They have fish. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they have a fish sandwich now, but it was
cod
called the
or
Whaler, and loved it. And she would get a Whopper, and we'd share onion rings.
Wow.
It was so romantic.
Anyway, Facebook.com/@oddshow. Like the page. If
2
you
weeks.
Like the page,
You have 2 weeks to join up.
Between now and August 29th, which I believe is a Thursday. If it's not, then it is whatever that Thursday is.
Whatever
on
day
or
it
about
is.
August 29th.
2 weeks from today. They can figure it out. They're not idiots.
We'll pick a winner and probably announce it on the week after that.
All right, enough of that. You like the YouTube? Or you like U2? U2? What's the,
I don't know.
What's that group?
I don't know what you're saying. You're talking about U2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bono.
Bono. Yeah, what about him? I haven't heard anything new from them in a while.
No, I couldn't even name a song they did.
You know, he founded a venture capitalist firm, which is basically a group of people with a lot of money that fund startups and things like that, and made a killing on Facebook IPO, which is pretty good. So he knows a thing or two about how to make money, on top of just being a musician.
Well, he's also does a lot of charity work and stuff, right?
Yeah, like most.
Are we talking about the same person?
Do. I think so.
He's Irish. He's got a nice Irish accent.
Yeah, Scottish.
I thought he was Irish.
No, I really don't know. He's probably
Irish.
I don't know.
Don't mess with me. I know my Irish. Yeah.
Anyway, where are you going?
Nowhere. I thought. Didn't you have a soundbite?
Yeah, he gave a speech not that long ago.
And he's
really.
he's kind of on the left a little bit, isn't it? In his politics, a little bit, sort of a socialist.
But he's not stupid.
Well, apparently not after this comment.
Yeah.
But commerce is real. That's what you're about here. It's real. Aid is just a stopgap. Commerce, entrepreneurial capitalism takes more people out of poverty than aid. Of course, we know that.
Imagine that.
I want to jump in here before
It's only been true since the first caveman would be a flint napper making arrowheads, trading his arrowheads for a hunk of venison from the hunter that would use his arrowheads. I mean,
essentially what he's saying,
capitalism.
What he's saying is welfare will not grow the economy. It's a stopgap measure, which I can see that to a point on the low end of things.
We need to help people when they need help.
Yeah, there needs to be some
forever.
sort of safety net, but way too many people qualify for it now. What really will drive an economic recovery is capitalism, free markets, commerce, making money
that raises
by
everybody
investing.
up.
It does.
It's been shown for centuries.
It's that trickle-down thing that nobody wants to talk about.
I don't know about that, but
well, it is.
Seems that people do better overall in capitalistic economies.
Yep. The freer the market, the better the economy.
Generally,
ends up
that's
being.
True. Yes.
Chuck says Sonic has better burgers than Burger King.
Did you get that from one of your friends in the chat room?
Not in the chat room.
I thought there's five guys in a burger or something like that, or 5 fries in a burger, or 5.
Ashton Kutcher, you probably heard about this.
Culver's has a nice burger too, by the way.
Oh, Culver's is good. They're butter burgers.
Butter burgers.
Ashton Kutcher won the awesomest guy at the Teen Awards for not being a teen guy for playing Steve Jobs in a movie about Steve Jobs. Well, he won it
capitalist.
Because teens think he's cute, I think.
A wealthy man was. Not so wealthy now.
And he is a Democrat as far as I know. But he gave a speech.
Ashton?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
He gave a speech.
He's an open carry guy. He's a Second Amendment guy.
Okay.
He's I don't know.
Yeah. The problem is,
I don't know what his politics
whatever
is.
his stance is, he's in Hollywood, so he kind of has to play it.
You're making an assumption.
And
I don't know if that's a good thing
about.
to do.
No, you don't listen to what the hell I'm saying. It's really annoying.
Okay.
And I don't know what your deal is today, but what he gave a speech at the Teen Awards, and he said something that we don't hear anymore, that kids don't hear, and these teens that were at the Teen Awards, it's probably the first time they've heard it in a while from someplace other than their grandparents. And, I mean, it's really too bad, but he talks about opportunity and really what it means to him, because it sounds like he didn't grow up in a wealthy family. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I don't think he did.
Sounds like his dad was a roofer.
Middle-class laborer, kind of a struggling guy.
This is what he had to say, though.
I believe that opportunity looks a lot like hard work. When I was 13, I had my first job with my dad carrying shingles up to the roof. And then I got a job washing dishes at a restaurant. And then I got a job in a grocery store deli. And then I got a job in a factory sweeping Cheerio dust off the ground. And I've never had a job in my life that I was better than. I was always just lucky to have a job. And every job I had was a stepping stone to my next job. And I never quit my job until I had my next job. And so opportunities look a lot like work.
It's profound, and it really shouldn't be.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be, and it's really...
It's self-evident.
It's really weird coming out of somebody from Hollywood.
Right.
As successful in Hollywood as he is.
Well, there's a lot of conservative people in Hollywood.
That speak out?
Yeah, there's a few.
Name a lot of them.
How about, what's his face? Magnum P.I.
Now name 100 that are liberal and speak out about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's just...
I would concede that point. Yes,
I don't even know that it's true that
liberal people.
I don't even know if that's true, but they are louder in Hollywood for sure.
Well, yeah,
and
they have money,
and so it's just weird. And at something like this, to take the opportunity to give a speech, about the award you won,
right?
And he opened by saying, "I couldn't do this without the fans."
And he's addressing a young audience,
right?
He's trying to impress them,
and
and I don't know if they got it.
He talked about being intelligent is better than being good looking,
right?
And that no job's beneath him, basically, is what he was saying. And it's just
and this third point, I think, was you don't have to be a genius to be successful.
Yeah, basically that the successful people aren't any smarter than you,
right?
They're just
they're hardworking.
Opportunity, which is hard
of
work.
That opportunity,
yep.
Exactly.
So it's great, and I mean, and Oliver Stone. Communist coming out, saying that, well, Obama's not. He's
a snake.
He's a snake, and we need to turn on him, which I agree, probably for different reasons than Mr. Stone.
Well, I don't know why he said that exactly. I mean, maybe he thinks he's a snake because he's not more of a communist.
Yeah, and that's my take, is that he...
he's let the Communist Party down.
Obama was good in the political realm of things, of not letting everybody know that he is a complete communist. By pretending like he cares about individuals, pretending like he likes the free market, and letting things slip out like, you didn't build that. But he's not upfront about his communism. And that's just a guess, but I don't know Oliver that well. I mean, we golf every Sunday, but than that, I don't really know the guy.
That's Harry Oliver Stone. That's not relation.
Right. That's right. Ashton Kutcher's first name is Chris. Who knew that?
I love it.
Don't
Chris.
know.
I'm going to call him Chris.
Chris Kutcher.
And speaking of that, what's in a name? Chris, Ashton, who cares?
Messiah.
Love that. Tennessee judge, child support magistrate, said the word Messiah. Oh, should we should give some background on this, I guess. Apparently in Tennessee, there was a couple that weren't married, and they were arguing about what the legal last name of their child should be, the father's or the mother's. So they go to child support magistrate, a judge, to sort this out. And she goes, "You named your kid Messiah?" She said, "The word Messiah is a title, and it's a title that has only been earned by one person, and that one person is Jesus Christ." Now,
and Obama.
Maybe
don't forget
the two.
About that. Yeah.
No, Jesus is probably more of a Messiah than Obama. And that's the difference.
It depends on who you talk to.
It's the difference between, what the difference between God and Obama is? God doesn't think he's Obama.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I need a rim shot because that was pretty good.
Now, what if obviously this judge is a Christian.
I would think so.
What if she'd been Jewish? Would it have been an issue? Because, see, the Jewish religion doesn't think the Messiah has come yet. That's why every Jewish male that's born is treated so well, because he could be the Messiah.
Oh, and
so
maybe
they had a problem with that.
Yeah, and maybe not. I mean, maybe they would have thought it was the time for that. But what's ridiculous, and you were getting to it, is they made them change the kid's name,
and that's the government.
Yeah,
and I hope they sue or do whatever they can or appeal it. The government has no business deciding what you name your children. There are socialist countries that do that. Germany, you cannot name your kid Adolf. There's other countries, and
I wouldn't advise it here either.
But that's up to the parents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
In Italy, there's a whole list of names that you cannot name your child. It's against the law.
Is Messiah on there?
I don't know. I didn't check that out, but I think probably Mussolini's on there. I don't know. Beniti or whatever his name.
And this is even different, because if we had
that's the issue I have is
if we had a law that listed names that were illegal, I would completely disagree with the law, but at least the judge would be following the law. This judge just
arbitrary
said,
and capricious.
Yeah. Well, sure, but
because
this judge just said, yeah.
We can say that because since 2002, the name Messiah has been growing in the top 400, and I think they said there's 700 kids named Messiah or something in the United States, according to the census. So it's not like it's a unique name to a particular case. It's been around for a while.
Well, sure, but it's not that common.
What
either.
if she's Hispanic? What if you name your kid Jesus? She was asked that, and she says, I thought about that as well, and that's not relevant to this case.
Well, I think that's true.
How is it not relevant?
Well, it's not relevant. It's a completely different name.
Jesus or Messiah, I mean, they're interchangeable. I understand Messiah is a title, and Jesus would be, a common name for a person, but come on.
Yeah, it's absurd. Whether she's Republican, conservative, right-wing, left-wing, liberal, it doesn't matter. This is wrong. I mean, these are the little things in our lives that we don't want government intruding.
Right. But she said she's only looking out for the welfare of the baby because that name could put an unfair burden on the boy later in life.
How's that?
She said it could be a burden for the boy later in life.
Maybe.
Like all of the hundreds of other names.
Martin might also be a burden later in life, and she doesn't know that. Which I think, right? Martin's what she made them name.
She
the kid.
made them not. She didn't even say, you can name them whatever you're not. No, it's going to be Martin. Damn it! I mean,
maybe she always wanted a Martin.
Maybe it's because it starts with an M and it's close to Messiah. Martin, Messiah. It's almost the same thing. Wow. Oh yeah, she did rule on the last name, and she said, "What I'm going to do is it's going to be Martin, and it's going to be the mother's." Maiden name and the father's surname.
Okay.
So that's what she decided, but not Messiah.
I hope one of their last name was Messiah. That'd be cool. Should make them change that too.
I'm going to change my name legally to Messiah. King Messiah.
Well, what you need
Emperor.
to do is move to Tennessee, and I know we have listeners in Tennessee, so you really need to get on this judge and come on.
Yeah, even if you think it might be disrespectful to name a kid Messiah based on religious belief, that's not the issue. The issue is this is a freedom of choice. This is a government infringing upon an individual's right to give the first gift that they give a child is a name. Nathan, your parents, their first gift to you besides life was Nathan.
Yeah, life is the first gift, I would say.
We call you Stinky around here, but it's Nathan.
The time when it is most important to stand
up. No response.
Up,
he's not denying
when
that.
It's most important to stand up for an individual's freedom is when it's the hardest.
Right.
So I think this is something that the Christians who may agree with the sentiment need to stand up and say, this isn't right. We completely disagree. These people are wrong for naming their kid this.
Yep.
But the government has no place in this, and individuals need to be able to choose for themselves.
Right. And if it does become burdensome for the child, they can legally change the name.
Yeah.
and the child, when he becomes 18, can change his name. But until then, that's not the business of the government.
Yep. Want to remind you to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/AdOddShow. Contest
King,
running for
Burger
the next
King.
2 weeks for a $10 gift card.
Whopper.
To Burger King. All you have to do is like the page. Give us a call, 248-455-ODDS. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
Say, would you all like to listen to the Ad Odd Show with Nate and Brian? And then come on down in my basement and have a popsicle.
The voice of American conservatism. WRS Digital, Red State Talk Radio.
My Parents Open Carry, a pro-gun kids book from White Feather Press. 13-year-old Brenna and her parents spend their day in typical fashion. But what's not so typical is that Brenna's parents lawfully open carry handguns for self-defense. And the Strongs join a growing number of families who are standing up for their Second Amendment right and bringing gun ownership out of the closet. Order your copy of this unique kids book at myparentsopencarry.com.
Fact. U.S. credit card debt is 8 times larger than it was 30 years ago. No wonder you and I are feeling the credit card crunch. You're not alone. Increasing prices and the costs of credit are stretching budgets and preventing people just like us from getting ahead or just catching up with our debts. At American Financial Debt Relief, we can help. We have tested ways to help you get out of debt. Find out how now. The call is free to learn more. If you qualify, we can reduce your interest, show you how to stop your debt from getting larger, and help you get out of debt faster than you can by making minimum payments. So if you're falling behind on your credit cards or medical bills, give us a call right now, where a free 5-minute call can change your life.
800-978-4815. 800-978-4815. Reduce your credit card debt. Call now. 800-978-4815. 800-978-4815. Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-932-5146. 800-932-5146. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-932-5146. 800-932-5146. Call now.
This ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah, you're second or third, though.
So, tell us about your rodeo last night, and we'll get into what everybody knows.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know that I have much to say about it up front, other than it was.
When did you get your money's worth?
Time.
When did you get your money's worth?
As soon as they started.
So you don't want to go into that.
The cowgirls were cool. I enjoyed
I
that.
bet.
That wasn't too bad.
The barrel? Did they have the barrel?
Yeah,
Did they have the shooting,
run
the
around in
balloons?
circles. No, they didn't shoot balloons.
That's too bad.
They had little kids go out there and throw their shoes in the mud.
For what purpose?
Well, because then they have all the kids line up, and then they have their shoes at the other end. They have to run down and put their shoe on and come back and give the clown a high five.
There probably is no animal feces at all in that mud.
What was funny is right before they did that race, they had little kids ride sheep. And one of the sheep just went and just did his business right in the middle where the kids were running.
They're just little pellets.
That's fine, and I'm sure all the mothers were happy about the socks.
I bet.
They set their kids down because they said all 7 to 11-year-olds.
They had a burning barrel right outside the exit.
Yeah, for the socks.
Put the socks right in that.
No, it was pretty good. The clown was funny.
Hey, I'm of the opinion that a little feces in your life isn't going to harm you.
It's inevitable.
I think so. Yeah, it's everywhere.
I mean,
They did a swab of keyboards, and they found feces on keyboards.
Oh,
so.
I'm sure.
Yeah, especially yours.
Yeah, that's because I used it in the bathroom.
Yep.
I used yours in the bathroom,
What?
too, but that was when I ran out of toilet paper. So
No.
Anyway, so hopefully nobody's eating dinner.
Oh,
what we wanted to talk about was the rodeo clown at Missouri State Fair.
Missouri State Fair, absolutely.
That put on an Obama mask.
No, he didn't. Did he? Well, I guess there's two versions. One says he put it on, but the video and the photos I've seen, it's on a mannequin dummy that's set up.
Right. Whatever.
But he might have taken it off.
There was an
and ran
Obama
around.
mask, and we know for sure that there has never been a satirical mask
parody
made
of
a
that.
president before.
And used in effigy or to poke fun at them.
In fact, it was only since we've had a black president that we started making fun of presidents.
Absolutely.
I've never seen Bush's head on a pike in a movie, in a show.
Nope, that never
seen
happened.
that. Nixon was never portrayed with a huge nose.
They never made a movie where people robbed banks wearing presidents. Point Break.
No, they never did that.
Right?
So since this clown and the announcer said, hey, who wants to see Obama get ran over by a bull?
To thunderous applause.
And everybody at this state fair, like all good rodeo attendees, are racist. Because we have...
You have to be.
We have the very first black-white president that we've ever had in this country's history.
Or white-black president.
It must be white-black. Zimmerman was white-Hispanic.
Yeah, so you put the white first, of course, because that's white privilege.
Because I'm racist.
Right.
So white is always first.
Right.
Being the dominant gene.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't think that's true at all. But, so you look through history. Every time there's a president, the president's made fun of. Going back...
Absolutely. George
years,
Washington.
I'm sure. I don't know if they had a mask.
No, but he was probably made
fun of. And actually,
I'm
I'm not sure that they had rodeos when Washington was president. But
Okay, but they made fun of him. I know they did. He had bad teeth.
Yeah, so, right, and half the people in the country didn't like him. Half the people did, right? I mean...
Well, I don't know about that. He was a war hero. He gained independence.
It's true. It has to be true. That's been the case since the beginning of time.
Sure, there were some... Yeah, anyways.
The rodeo I went to... They didn't have a mask, which I was really waiting for the mask to come out.
You were disappointed, yeah.
But the clown did make some jokes. He drove out in basically a porta potty on a go-kart.
Okay.
And the other guy, the announcer, says, "What's that?" And he says, "Well, it was $1 million motorhome, but this is all that's left since Obama's stimulus."
A crap house.
Yeah, it's just a crap
on
house.
wheels.
And the best part, which was a really good analogy, was a bull threw the rider off and then was running around in the ring, and they were having a hard time getting it back out. Mm-hmm. And he said, "This is an Obama bull. It's an Obama bull because we got it in here and we don't know how to get it out." It's kind of true.
That's
it's just
pretty funny.
All you have to do is wait for him to take his butt out the door, and he eventually will. I saw an article yesterday, I think, and it was outlining how the President of the United States actually does have the power to become supreme dictator.
How?
Executive order.
Oh.
And I was reading it, and I was like, they're completely wrong about the real authority.
Yeah.
But in practice and in reality, I could see that working. That Obama has his auto pen sign a document that says, "I'm dictator."
Executive orders apply only to federal employees. He's a federal employee of sorts, isn't he, or not? Nah, I don't know if he is.
Yeah,
is he?
I don't know. When's the last time somebody purposefully disobeyed an executive order?
I bet it happens all the time.
You think so?
Sure, it does.
Not the ones that he tries to apply to the public.
You can't apply it to the public. You can only apply it to federal employees. That's what an executive order is.
And
it doesn't apply to
And the good news
the
is
people.
we know that our president follows the law and the Constitution in everything he does.
Well, he has to. He's the president.
Right. So he's never...
So I'm saying he doesn't make a law. An executive order is not a law.
He's never tried to make changes. He's never tried to change statute with an executive order.
He can't do that.
No, not at all.
He's actually admitted that, he can't do a lot of things because of that
he's not a dictator.
That's pesky Constitution.
I think what's
that gets in the way all the time. I could have some real change.
He's constrained
and
by
real hope if we could just
constrained by the system the founders
if
put
we
in
could
place.
just correct the problems.
And he's not going to wait around for Congress, he said. Right, which he didn't with the DREAM Act crap that he did. That what he did was effectively change statute.
What DREAM Act? Talking about Obamacare?
No, I'm talking about
the DREAM. The
illegals.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
so he signed an executive order that said, "Yep, you can stay here legally with no repercussions."
Well, I think what he said is that the federal employees can't.
Right. So we're going to split hairs. And
I am going to split hairs because that's the way I am.
Same thing. That is the way you are. You're obstinate and you're argumentative and you just don't listen.
We're at odds.
Yeah. So
I didn't name the damn show.
Well, you did, and I think I argued quite a bit about it. And
of course, we were at odds. It's perfect.
Makes a little bit of sense.
Wow.
What is this? Why is there a fly in here?
There should not be a fly in the studio. It's state of the art.
Probably the lamb poop in the corner. But I brought some home because it was pretty cool.
I noticed the odor. I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
Anyways, executive orders, it would be like Eric Holder coming out and saying, listen, I'm going to suggest to the federal prosecutors not enforce all of the marijuana laws and be so stringent, and we need to do some...
No, it isn't. It's not the same.
Agree to that.
That's not the same at all.
Can he direct his federal prosecutors, and what they
suggest. Do? Yeah, sure he can.
They don't have to do it.
Hey, all right, whatever. Just do some research on executive orders.
Fine.
And some executive orders that the president we have now has signed. Presidents in the past, Bush, all of them.
Listen,
they're not just as simple as mandating what a federal employee can do, and that it doesn't affect anybody else.
The governor of the state of Michigan had an executive order: no smoking within 25 feet of any federal entryway. Only applies to the employees.
Okay.
If somebody wants to come inside and smoke a cigarette, screw them.
Okay. I'm not sure what that has to do with the president.
It's an executive order.
I don't think
the same type of principle.
I don't think Snyder wants to be dictator either.
Let's go back to the mask thing. Here's the issue. The issue is that the government has influence over corporations and over private businesses. It's subtle. You can make the argument that freedom of speech only applies between you and your government. In other words, I can say what I want, and the government, theoretically, within certain reasons, can't stop me from expressing myself, right? But it doesn't stop a private business or a private organization, like the people that hire rodeo clowns, from firing somebody, which they did. They banned him from ever performing at the Missouri State Fair. I don't know about other fairs. I'm sure he can work where he wants outside of Missouri State Fair. But it's like your boss saying, I don't want you to talk about politics, right? And they can stop you from doing that. Perfectly legal. If you talk about politics that disagrees with the corporate line, they can fire you for whatever reason, right? That's the right to work. And you're working at the discretion of the employer. The government can't come out and say that. So you can argue, well, if they want to fire this clown for being politically incorrect, that's their prerogative. What's the big deal? The issue that I have is that the federal government has so much power over businesses through taxes and tax breaks and regulations and inspections and so on and so forth, that they can put pressure on big corporations and even mom and pop organizations to quell and to chill political dissent. And that's what's frightening. Are you with me on that? You're not. Listening.
Yeah, I am. I'm listening. I'm just wondering when you're going to
stop talking.
No, not necessarily.
All right, I'm done. No, that's the issue. So the fact that he was banned from Missouri State Fair, if the state fair is run and operated by the state of Missouri, it's wrong that they're trying to quell his freedom of expression, in my opinion. If it's a private endeavor, if the State Fair of Missouri is owned by a private individual or corporation and they want to ban him, that's their prerogative. It's still insidious. What is insidious? What's the word I want?
Insidious?
Yeah. And say it again.
No.
Yeah, you can't do it. And so that's what's frightening. is the government has so much control on all these businesses. I guess my point is if corporations and businesses had more freedom from the government, that they wouldn't be as likely to throw under the bus this poor guy and the announcer and other peoples that got fired and disciplined for making a political statement, not against the color of Obama's skin, not his pallor, but his politics that they were making fun of. Worst president ever. This is frightening, and this is bad. And I can see why people are up in arms about this, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, so
it's not racism.
Let's talk about the real issue, which is none of that.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And
I disagree.
The fact that people are up in arms about this, that we have influential groups like the NAACP, we have senators, Claire McCaskill coming out and excoriating this guy for doing what he's saying, and for this becoming a racial issue. It's not the government. The White House did respond. The deputy secretary, press secretary, basically just said, "I'm from Missouri, and it's not one of our finer moments, and not how I want to see the state in the."
This isn't a representation of Missouri. These were the opinions of a few people.
Yeah, right, and that's the problem. It is that this wasn't racist at all. It was a couple people that did it, and it's made such a big impact that people are calling for federal charges to be brought on this guy
I
for
think that's ridiculous.
For making these statements. Right, for what? Exactly. But you have senators coming out and doing this, people that are elected that think everything that ever happens in this country is racial. That because you're making fun of the president, you're not supposed to say anything about this guy because he is the first black president of the United States of America.
Anything you say has to be a racist motivation.
Why else would a rodeo clown, with a bunch of animals and things, why else would he put an Obama mask out there to have a bull run it over? Because we know bulls are racist, which is why
some bulls
why we thought that the bull would have ran it over.
The Mexican bulls are racist.
And these are all Mexican bulls.
I don't know about that.
A couple Afghans.
Can't we? Those bulls are all made in China. You know that.
Yes, they are.
There's no American-made bulls anymore.
Not the good ones, anyway. So the real issue is the reaction to what he said, and it's not the government. And the state fair, you have to know that there's tax money going into that. So to ban this guy from it, that's a little iffy.
And another point I'd like to make is the fact that what has the president himself said about this? If he had any kind of integrity, any kind of courage, he could come out and say, "Oh, that was a really good joke. That was funny. I appreciate that. But come on, let's know that this was just a joke and this is not a big issue, and you shouldn't interrupt some guy's livelihood and punish him for that. It's just political satire and." That's the American way. We've been making fun of presidents for years. I can take a joke. He's silent.
I think first what he should do is say absolutely nothing about it and ignore it because it's not an issue. It's a complete non-issue.
And he could come out and say that.
Once he shouldn't. Once it's just like the Zimmerman thing. He shouldn't have said a word about it. Once the NAACP and once there's requests coming into the Department of Justice to prosecute this guy.
Same with Zimmerman.
Then he
comes out, go after him.
Then he comes out and says, "This was a joke. It was funny. Yeah, I disagree with him because I think my politics are right because communism is the best way to go. But it was a joke. We need rodeos. It was a fair. It's not like it was even any sort of political venue at all.
Right.
I hope the rodeo company just doesn't come back to the fair next year. And maybe they'll find another one, but yeah.
Another issue is rodeos are politically incorrect nowadays, anyways.
Oh, absolutely.
Animal rights it's horrible and.
Well, yeah, the animals and the clown at the rodeo I went to talking about that Chinese guy that does that Gangnam Style song, which is he's Korean, but
they're all the same.
Short Chinese. That's what he said.
Same, yeah. See, I mean, that's the kind of thing you could say. Used to say, 50 years ago. Oh, it was funny.
He was ragging on the sheriffs there too.
Now you can't say that. You're a racist,
calling them pigs and smelling bacon and here piggy.
He got not only tased but anally probed after that when he was driving home.
He made that joke. Yeah, but yeah. He said he got pulled over on the way in, actually. We'll see.
He's still in jail, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he might be.
Voted best kisser in the county jail.
Yeah, they like clowns in the county jail. All right, we'll take another quick break because it's time for that. 248-455-ODDS. Facebook.com/AdOddsShow. Remember, we're live Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Check out our book, MyParentsOpenCarry.com.
Hello. You're listening to the At Odds Show with Nate and Brian.
Red State Talk Radio.
The idea of government taking over healthcare is enough to make you sick.
The conservative voice.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-257-2873. 1-800-257-2873. 1-800-257-2873. That's 1-800-257-2873.
When it comes to TV, if you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best value in entertainment. Not only will you find the same channels you know and love for less, Dish sweetens the deal with free HD for life and premium movie channels free for 3 months, including Blockbuster at home. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Why would you ever pay more for TV? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Free HD for life, premium channels free for 3 months, scores of movies with Blockbuster at home, premium savings when you bundle DishNet high-speed internet service. Limited time offer, 24-month agreement with credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Call Dish Satellite, your Dish authorized retailer now. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. That's 800-507-9468.
Red State Talk Radio.
Why spend more than you have to on your life insurance? Did you know that term life insurance rates have fallen over 60% in the last 15 years? At the Life Insurance Quote Line, we monitor the rates, features, and financial strength of hundreds of life insurance products. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can protect his family with $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. Rates for women are even lower. And don't forget to ask us about the new term life policies that guarantee your money back even if you don't die. Since 1986, we've helped tens of thousands of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Why not find out how much you can save? Write down this number and call today for your free quote. 1 5-minute call is all it takes. Call 800-610-3497. 800-610-3497. That's 800-610-3497. Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think that gun-free zones are state-sanctioned murder zones. Right? I mean,
yeah, essentially.
They're laws implemented by the state where murders happen.
Yeah, they make great targets for people that want to hurt a lot of people without being stopped quickly.
I can only assume that they are state-sanctioned murder zones because all of the mass murders that have taken place in the last 10 years or more have been in gun-free zones.
I think everybody who's ever voted for gun-free zones, or really any gun control measure, has supported victimization of law-abiding citizens. Yeah, I think that for sure.
Because it's much better to be a victim than to actually defend yourself. Let the state protect you. That's what the state is there for. The state needs to be in control, and only the state should have the power of guns and armored vehicles. And
what do you need them for, though? I mean, why do you need a 30-round clip magazine bullet holder in your military-style assault weapon that has no place anywhere other than in the war theater?
To fight the state?
Well, but they don't want that.
Well, I know. The point of this is there was a petition on the White House. Apparently, you can go to their website and you can create a petition and people can sign it. And if they get enough signatures on the petition, then the White House will address it.
Yeah, the president promised that any petition that garnered a certain number of signatures,
I don't know what it was,
and
hundreds of thousands.
It was a lot lower. They raised it because there were too many.
Yeah, too many petitions.
Yeah, too many, and they don't want to actually address everybody's issue.
Not at all.
What they want is just the few that the liberals can spend enough money to get enough signatures,
right?
E-signatures
that can push their agenda,
that they can respond to them.
But anybody against their agenda, we don't want to deal with that.
Yep.
Well, there was a petition put up, and I'm going to read it to you, and I know how you hate that. But this was, it goes like this. Eliminate armed guards for the president, vice president, and their families, and establish a gun-free zone around them, which makes sense, right? You can't have guns around the president. It's against the law.
Absolutely.
It'll be a gun-free zone.
And gun-free zones help protect people.
Right, and they went on to say gun-free zones are supposed to protect our children, and some politicians wish to strip us of our right to keep and bear arms. Those same politicians and their family are currently under the protection of the Armed Secret Service agents. If gun-free zones are sufficient to protect our children, then gun-free zones should be good enough for politicians. And they got enough signatures, and the White House response was this. And I'm going to read some of it, but there are some highlighted points. Thank you for your petition. We live in a world where our elected leaders and representatives are subject to serious, persistent, and credible threats on a daily basis.
And this was Richard Nixon who wrote
Even
this
those who are mere candidates in a national election become symbols of our country, which makes them potential targets for those seeking to do harm to the United States and its interests. Well, I would think they're only doing harm to the actual candidates, but anyways. In 1901, blah, 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 we established a Secret Service full-time protection for the President of the United States, and we think it's appropriate, blah, blah, blah. Now, at the same time, all of us deserve to live in safer communities, which is why we need to take responsible, common-sense steps to reduce gun violence, even while respecting individual freedom. Bullshit. And let's be clear, President Obama believes that the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to bear arms. Bishop, you can see him talk about that in previous petition responses. Right. But the common sense steps the president has proposed don't infringe in any way on our Second Amendment rights. We ought to be able to keep weapons of war off the streets. We ought to close the loopholes in background check systems that make it too easy for criminals and other dangerous people to buy guns. An idea that has the support of 90% of the people in the United States. That's crap. We know that that statement is not true, 90%. It's absolutely a lie. They go on to say, that's why the president and an overwhelming majority of Americans are calling on Congress to pass gun safety legislation. That's not true at all. As a matter of fact, they shelved it and said, well, we'll try again next time. You know, nobody seems to be interested in that.
We'll do it next year.
Oh, God. And then it goes on and on and on. So really what it was a rant. Yeah, it was a rant about their anti-gun policies trying to pretend that it's really pro-gun stance. And they said, well, we're going to keep armed people around the president, so don't worry about it.
Well, it's because he's better and more important than you and your children.
So there you go. The White House turned the petition into a chance to lobby for more gun control, right? Surprise. So just remember, Nate, your child faces no threat, which is why they're protected by those signs.
Well, not until she runs for a political office, and
Right.
then she'll require security. But only when she becomes president will it be paid for.
So a gun-free zone sign in a gun-free zone area is good enough for our nation's children, but not good enough for our nation's leaders. Hypocrisy.
Yeah, absolutely. These cowards. President Obama is a coward, especially when it comes to this issue. Will not, put their money where their mouth is. They think schools like Arkansas trying to arm their teachers
Right.
and their staff, and the government tells them they can't because gun-free zones are safer than an area where you have trained professionals with firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And these cowards won't take their own medicine.
And it's true. A good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. Every time.
Well,
almost every time.
More often than a sign does.
That is true. I will give you that.
I mean, how many times have you seen in the news, and they would report it for sure, that a gun-free zone sign stopped an intruder, stopped somebody who was intent on doing harm to anybody?
Nate, you can't prove a negative.
No, but I can prove the times.
You can't show it how many times those guns have prevented people from coming into the killing zones.
No, but what I can do is compare the number of mass shootings in gun-free zones to the number of mass shootings in not gun-free zones.
Oh, but that's using logic and reason and evidence.
Yep.
We can't use that. We have to use emotion.
That's true, and know that the president and his children are more important than you and your children.
Well, of course. Now
his dog's not allowed to travel with the family. His dog's going to take a separate flight.
Yeah.
But the children.
And don't get us wrong. I think you and I agree that we should have protection for the President of the United States.
Absolutely.
The point we're trying to make is their hypocrisy and by not allowing the average citizen to have the same rights and protections.
I'm not saying
that the president
I'm not saying that every child, including mine, deserves to have Secret Service follow them around. And I don't want that either. Not taxpayer funded Secret Service. I think the president does, and I think that's valid.
But what you want is the opportunity to provide that protection at your cost.
Yeah. Or the ability to choose a public school, since I'm forced to let public schools exist. But the ability to have a school.
No, you could go to a private school.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you didn't listen again. So
you're not forced to go to a public school. The kid isn't.
And I didn't say that.
Yeah, you kind of did.
No. I said I'm forced to let them exist.
Yeah, I know, but
which is what I said.
Okay.
Those were the words that I said, and they mean things.
Yeah, I guess they do.
But if a public school or a private school wants to arm their teachers, they need to be able to, and I need to be able to make the choice whether I want my child to go there.
Or allow the parents to do it.
Yeah.
If the school district doesn't want to pay for that, have the parents of the students
the school
be able
district
to
shouldn't pay for it.
Have.
I think, but the teachers should be allowed, especially in a public school. If
Not just the teachers, the parents too, by God.
If a private school wants to ban firearms, that's different than a public school banning firearms. Completely different.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is another problem with public schools in general, but
which is odd because more of the private schools will actually allow firearms than do public schools. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the point and the message there is that
they respond to that
is not good for the goose, is not good for the gander.
There are petitions that get plenty of signatures, such as the German homeschooling family that wants asylum because they're getting in trouble in Germany for homeschooling because you don't want your children taught what you want them taught. You want them to be taught what the government thinks they should be taught. In a public school, there's a petition saying, hey, give them asylum, or at least respond to us because you promised you would. Chirp, 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 chirp.
Chirp.
So this whole change.gov thing with the petitions really hasn't done much of anything other than maybe make a few people feel
good,
like they've made a difference, like
they've done something.
The president has personally responded to me, even though I'm sure he hasn't read any of them.
But it's a great opportunity to push their agenda. Like
look
at
all the signatures we had for this, so we can and to respond to because you have
we don't want to listen to you.
You have no way to respond back to that. That says, well, common sense. You can't respond, to their response and say, no, you're wrong, and actually have some dialogue. It's what they say goes, and they're going to run the country the way they want because we let them have the power.
Yeah. Well, do you want to... We're almost wrapping up here.
Yeah, we are.
Adam Kokesh, I guess, had a Superior Court judge say that she would consider bail and release from jail if he can provide proof of a permanent resident in Virginia, which I thought he did. I thought he lived in this house, and I don't know.
He's kind of shady. It's hard to say.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I mean, he just had shrooms in his safe.
Yeah, and there's some question whether that was planted or not. Who knows? Anyways, she wanted verifiable proof that he actually lives there. Yeah.
And the police officers that responded know.
They do know, yes. Are they talking? I don't know. Prosecutors, of course, objected. They're saying he's too dangerous to be let out.
Well, yeah, he was a crazy guy. He had a gun, and he killed... How many people was that?
None?
No, but he pointed it at a bunch of people. How many?
No, nobody.
He didn't point it at any.
No, he had it up in the air.
But he put those cop killer bullets in them, right?
No, just shotgun shells.
Shotgun shells.
Bird shot. Had his finger off the trigger.
But he was planning on killing people.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what a man thinks.
Well, right, and if you don't know, you should lock him up.
Well, I think so.
And I think that's the safest thing to do with everybody, because you don't know.
Also, the prosecutor said they're working on putting together a plea bargain, which is what they commonly do in these kind of cases. All the plea bargains that have been offered, he's denied.
He better not take it, because that'll
ruin his cred.
Yeah, it won't do any good. Yeah. It's already not doing any good. Already doing more harm than good.
Oh, I don't know. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Well, if they drop the charges, it's a small victory. I don't know that they want to do that, but
I don't think they will.
But let's go to jury trial.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one anyway. That is all the time we have, so I want to thank you for listening, and see you next week.
All right, bye-bye.